And so I would like to say hello, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you again for joining us at the Cystic Fibrosis Family and Education Support event. And as Joanna stated just now, I am a PhD student from the Surratt Lab at McMaster University. The Surratt Lab investigates the microbial communities that live in our bodies and how these bacteria affect our health and well-being. I belong to a subgroup of graduate and postdoctoral researchers who examine the microbiology of cystic fibrosis infections. Our group's main goal is to identify the microbes that drive pulmonary exacerbations in individual CF patients. I hope that through my talk, you will see that trainees like me are passionate learners and problem solvers. My diverse academic experiences have provided me many of the tools that are needed to profile the bacteria that compromise CF patient health and well-being. I envision that knowing about the bacteria that cause chronic infections and drive exacerbations will help clinicians make informed decisions when selecting treatment methods and antibiotics for CF patients. My academic research journey took me through many twists and turns, where I explored diverse projects and encountered various challenges that weren't necessarily related to cystic fibrosis. I began my journey studying insect development at Redeemer University College using microscopy and dissection techniques. These insects were kissing bugs, mind you. They suck up blood, and they make patients feel very sick, especially in Brazil, and it's starting to spread out to North America. Shortly afterwards, I pursued a master's in water quality monitoring. The aim of my master's project was to detect fecal microbes in groundwater wells by isolating fecal bacteria and profiling gene fingerprints belonging to unique microbes. I can say right now that was a very dirty job, especially when it came to collecting the samples in themselves. I have a whole bunch of stories about that, which I will not divulge for today. The research background that I possess in my journey towards a career in science, I hope, provides me the skills to learn more about the microbes that drive CF exacerbations. Most researchers have a specific event that they will always look back to as a key moment when carving out their research journey. And for me, it was going to a conference in Boston during my master's training. In that conference, there were thousands of researchers and industrial partners. Even Bill Gates gave a talk about what we can do to eradicate infectious disease and how we can use the study of microbiology to understand more about infectious disease and how we can use that to heal patients and to maintain well-being. In particular, at that conference, there was a poster prepared by CF Lab in Calgary, who still collaborates with the Surratt Lab to this day. The Calgary lab examined how an antibiotic called stridinum affects the bacteria that dwell within the CF lung. They found out that some bacteria were unaffected by the treatment, likely demonstrating increased antibiotic tolerance and resistance. And in contrast, there were other microbes that decreased in numbers, the result of the antibiotics' activity against these bacteria. From the poster, I became interested in learning the ways through which the study of microbes moves the medical field towards providing sound, holistic treatments against infectious disease. And I wanted to be a part of that established research community that aims to discover treatments that prolong the CF patient's life by studying microbiology. As we've heard through all the talks today, cystic fibrosis is a multifaceted disease. It covers so many different aspects and is such a comprehensive disease to work with. And the microbiology underlying the disease is just as complex. The mucus that clogs the respiratory airways within the lungs encourages the growth of many types of bacterial pathogens. The growth of these pathogens promotes tissue damage and contributes to the lung inflammation that drives pulmonary exacerbations. Antibiotic treatments typically target conventional CF pathogens like Pseudomonas aeruginosa and Staphylococcus aureus. However, the Surratt Lab identified many other pathogens, namely Streptococcus, Haemophilus, and many others, whose numbers increased just before and during an CF exacerbation in several CF Calgary patients. The Surratt Lab has also shed light into the countless ways bacteria interact with each other and the host. Previous research from our lab demonstrated that through fruit flies of all creatures, that harmless lung commensals can encourage Pseudomonas aeruginosa to release proteins that evade the host immune responses and encourage lung inflammation, and vice versa. My project's goal is to identify these microbes which drive the exacerbations and to figure out what they are doing in the CF lung. To do this, I'm going to be doing something slightly gross once again, although slightly less gross in fecal matter. I'm going to be dissecting sputum that's coughed out of CF patients. When we look at samples like these, we used to think that they're just waste matter or that they are just something we can just discard or something that's just a symptom of what's going on in the lung. But really, it's much more than that. Within the CF sputum sample, there are microbes of all kinds, round, oval, large, some larger, some smaller, but all of these microbes are all contributing to this disease one way or another. And what I'm hoping to do with these microbes is the sputum sample is to identify the active microbes in each sample before and during an exacerbation. And by profiling the bacteria responsible for driving these infections and exacerbations, I hope that research can provide clinicians the information they need to administer the appropriate antibiotic and reduce the likelihood of an exacerbation. My deepest hope for my PhD studies is that I will contribute to the growing body of CF microbiology research. We are constantly facing microbes that resist antibiotic treatments and drive exacerbations or many other kinds of infectious diseases. The Surrett Lab and I are dedicated, I will assure you of this, we are dedicated to investigating the roles that individual microbes and their interactions play in causing exacerbations and chronic infections. I aspire through this project to learn more about these microbes to help the healthcare system provide the best level of care for you and your loved ones. And I am blessed to be a part of the Surrett Lab and the CF research community. I am proud to be doing research that will hopefully save lives and improve patient well-being. Thank you.